reptiles and monsters. I can't give you anything but love.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I can't give you anything but love. We are live from Koreatown in the OZone. Ladies and gentlemen, the dream team is in the house. This is Omar Miller. I'm your host, and I'm here with my brother from the same mother, the icons, Terry Miller.
Hello, world.
Let's get right into it.
It's a lot to get into.
A lot to get into, and tonight there's a lot to get into. We're talking about NBA just starting. We're talking about the World Series Game 6.
Could be the last hurrah for the Cubbies.
Could be. Or it could be the middle of another epic 3-1 comeback in 1 year. Did LeBron James change the fate of Cleveland sports, or did he not? Cleveland! This is for you! I want to know if this is for you, Cleveland.
It is for him. It looked like it. I mean, what he's done is that he's spoken it into existence.
He did. He pulled the faith move on him.
Yeah, he did.
Now, what I want to know is who doesn't understand how hard it is to beat a team 3 times straight? You just saw it happen to the Indians.
Sports.
In any sport. And so this is exactly what happened to the Indians. It seems as though the Indians are playing better baseball than the Cubs. The Cubs, I think, have a grand total of 5 or 6 runs in 3 games. Right. Something like that. They have a tendency to blank out, the Cubs. And let's talk about why they have a tendency to blank out. They're everybody's favorite. Not just good pitching. You know what? You're right. Good pitching doesn't even have to be great pitching. Mm-hmm. But what Terry Francona seems like he's realized is what a lot of managers realize who did beat them for the 54, 56 games, whatever it is that they lost this year, is that
they're sitting on fastballs.
They are sitting on fastballs, and Clayton Kershaw didn't seem to understand that. Kershaw and Grandal didn't understand that,
right?
And Terry Francona understands, and so you see their rate of off-speed pitches that has gone up, as opposed to what it was in the regular season. And so now you got guys, they have no answer, it seems, for Corey Kluber.
Yeah, and I think that Josh Tomlin's almost more effective than he was.
Really?
He
shut them down. He really kept them off balance. Doing some great work, some trick work back there by the catcher.
Right.
Roberto Perez back there is doing, for people who don't necessarily, or are casual fans and whatnot, if you watch what he's doing, he's making noises at different parts of the strike zone in case the guys can hear him. I saw him do it several times where he's tapping the glove on the ground as though he's waiting for a pitch in the dirt, and then they bust him high fastball.
Right. And just in case somebody's throwing signs or whatever.
Yeah, it's very, very impressive work by that young man. I think Yan Gomes getting hurt may be the reason why Yan Gomes getting hurt and Jonathan Lucroy vetoing that trade to go to Cleveland
is the reason for the season.
May be the reason that they win the World Series. Now, I really thought that they were going to close it out with Trevor Bauer the other night. I'm surprised that they didn't get that done.
It was a tight game, though.
Oh, my goodness. Such a tense game. The games are all so emotional.
Right.
You watch these games. At the end of the game, you're drained like you played.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. 3 innings from Chapman.
They had to shoot their wide.
I mean, come on. They did. And it was a trip because it was a situation where, I mean, let's talk about something that as a Yankee fan that has bothered me for years.
How they cheated Yankee Stadium?
That's not what bothers me about the Yankees. But something that this is to touch you as a Reds fan. Why is Aroldis Chapman always in trouble?
Because his 102, 103 mile an hour fastball is sort of straight, and I think that he doesn't pitch.
I think he doesn't pitch. I think the other thing he does is he nibbles. He has a tendency,
like a lot of closers nowadays,
act like he doesn't throw 103 miles an hour.
A lot of closers like the nibble. Then you need to bring it. You throw 103, throw 103 all the time. And when he sits back there and rears and throws 102, 103, even 100, it's a problem.
Even 100. Even 100 if it's straight.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It's a serious problem. Mix in a slider every now and then. But
that kid Strickland did the same thing against the Cubs. He throws 98 miles an hour. He came out throwing sliders and changeups and breaking balls, throw 100 miles an hour down the middle of the plate. Although those guys can turn around things, more than likely, you're going to get an out.
You're going to get an out. It's a failure sport, and 100 miles an hour raises those percentages of failure.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, Chapman is looking like the hero right now for them, but I want to know if the Cubs have released that constipation offensively. They got Kyle Schwarber back in the lineup tonight. You told me just a minute ago that Kyle Schwarber is actually batting second, which is a surprise to me because he's got the bum knee. It's not like he can really run the bases like that.
Yeah, but they're trying to just get him as many bats as they can. And honestly, like I told you earlier, I would go right at Schwarber. I wouldn't give him any kind of respect or whatever, because a guy who hasn't seen enough pitches, you can get him. You can really make him look bad.
You're going to
mess
get
up his
guys.
confidence.
70% of the time, you get great guys out.
Right.
Let alone guys who haven't played all year.
And he hasn't proven that he's great. He's been great in one season, but that's not a career.
Yeah, and they are. I saw him in that first game. They start nibbling, and first two games it was Corey Kluber went right at him and shut him down at first.
The way you're supposed to do it.
And then the second at bat, Corey Kluber started to nibble, and he went off the wall on him.
Mm-hmm. But if you go in attack mode, more than likely you're going to get Kyle Schwarber
and everybody else.
And everybody else, he doesn't have enough at bats under his belt.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see how this game plays out tonight. Josh Tomlin was great in Game 3.
I loved his work.
I was a big fan. Hey, man! I love your work. I love what you do out there. He was fantastic. I'm very interested to see if he can duplicate that performance, because the Cubs, having the best record in the league all season, have a tendency to roll out wins and streaks, and we saw it with the Dodgers. They need a little bit of help, I think, and
they're making errors now.
They're making this is what we predicted before the season started, before the series started, rather, is that we predicted that the Indians would put more pressure on the Cubs than anybody had to date. The Giants didn't really put enough pressure on the Cubs,
right?
And neither did the Dodgers. They had them in a position to put pressure on them. For example, like having John Lester over the barrel with runners on base, taking 40-foot leads and not stealing bags.
Out there dancing. Why are you dancing?
I don't understand.
Take the bag.
Take the bag. Swipe that.
He's giving it to you.
Take that. Shout out to Puffy. But then on the flip side, you have the Indians. Even if you get thrown out, they're out there taking bags.
Yeah.
You got to throw me out.
The American Leaguers are playing National League Baseball.
And it's effective. And once again, I got to go back to what you said while we were at the All-Star game in San Diego this year, was that the Cubs fans voting in the Cubs at every position may actually come back to bite the Cubs in the end.
It's going to bite them.
Because they don't now you're looking at a situation where they got to win.
Have home field.
They got to win 2 games, and they don't get the last at bat.
Yeah, you don't get the last at bat, and tonight might be the last at bat.
I'm very interested to see. All the games been tight. They're playing a very tight series. The Indians want the game tight. You can tell they're not even looking to force the issue on.
They're the San Diego Padres of the American League.
They want a tight game.
They want it tight and grimy.
They do. But no, they want it tight and clean.
They don't want it grimy.
No, they want it tight and clean, because they're not going to make errors. They're not going to fold. Even though I was very disappointed at Lonnie Chisenhall's work the other night. I thought he blew the game. What are you doing, Lonnie?
He tried. Yeah, that was poorly played.
There's a lot of pressure in this World Series, man, and you see,
on the Cubs,
and I'm very happy that the Cubs won a game in Wrigley Field, because people were paying exorbitant amounts of money for those tickets. Guys who were at the series in 45 and all this, that, and the other.
I don't care. The Reds aren't there. It doesn't really matter.
Well, then there's that. And the Reds aren't going to be there for a while, because they don't
Why do
seem
you
to
got to
have
bring
an
that up?
You brought them up.
I didn't bring up the point that they won't be there. I just said I don't care because they're not there.
Well, I don't see how the Reds get around that National League Central division, really, for the next few years.
They got a couple of young horses.
Devin, what's his name?
Mesoratzko
never even plays.
Yeah, but they don't need him. They have pitching.
Nah,
they always have sticks.
I don't know about that.
Joey Votto is one of the best hitters in baseball.
That's one guy. Brandon Phillips is getting on the other side of his career. He's on the downside of his career.
You got Duvall.
You got Adam Duvall, who's real. And then you have Billy Hamilton, who for a portion of this season seemed like he figured out that if he puts the ball in play, he's extremely effective.
I think he's much like Brandon Ingram, where he needs to hit the weight room.
You think?
Yeah. Because stealing bases and all that tears your body down. He needs to be able to last the whole season. And you have to know when to turn it on and off, because, he's stealing 3 or 4 bags a game. That's a lot of bags.
Right.
A lot of banging on the knees and the legs. Then pop goes the weasel. The hammy's gone.
Wow. It's very interesting. I mean, I heard John Lester say something that I thought was awesome when they asked him if he was going to be ready for Game 7. Here, listen to this.
I'm sure I'll be down in that bullpen at some point.
That said, if there's a Game 7, are you available?
I'm always available. I'll be available Game 6. Whether Joe likes it or not, I'll be down there. I mean, this time of year, you gotta let the off season be the off season. We're fighting and we're clawing, and this is a good team across the way. They've played really good baseball, and so have we. And we've been on the wrong end of a couple losses, and it all hands on deck. So we'll figure it out as we go. We got a lot of really good bullpen guys, so I don't want to take anything away from them, saying that I can do their job better than they can by any means. But if they need me, I'll have my spikes on.
John, very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And this is why John Lester is a stone cold winner.
He's a gamer.
He's a gamer because he
Whatever
said,
it
forget
takes.
Game 7. I'm ready for Game 6. And
And
he
he
just
doesn't
pitched in Game 5.
And he doesn't even like if the coach doesn't like it. He's like, so what?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
And then, to show that he's a team player, he went out there and finished the interview by saying, hey, not to take anything away, we got great bullpen guys.
Right.
But if they need me, my spikes will be on.
Yeah, all hands on deck.
Yeah. And despite the fact that he can't get over the mental block to throw to first base.
To any base.
The way that he carried himself in these interviews after the game, because he keeps the game tight. And you know what?
He gives you a chance to win.
He puts you in a position to win the game, and it's on the guys, and the guys back him up more times than not. And I like the fact that John Lester now is the widely recognized ace of the Chicago Cubs. It's not anymore. There's a lot of that.
Now, do you think so over Kyle Hendricks?
There's no doubt about it. With the way that they talk about it, if you looked at way Game 5 was before the game, and the Cubs are facing elimination down 3-1 with their ace on the bump. I think that once they got to the postseason and you started to see where the games got tighter, John Lester's been the guy to answer the bell for them every time. The only time that he really got roughed up was against the Indians in Game 1, and it's not like he got dug out. I think he gave up 3 over 6 or something like that. And other than that, he went pitch for pitch with Johnny Cueto. The Giants let him off the hook, but he's the reason for that. He went 7 and gave up 2 hits over 7.
So what you're saying, you can't blame John Lester?
I haven't seen the situation in this postseason where you can blame John Lester for any Cubs losses. And you can give him a lot of praise for the wins, because the thing is he stays focused. He doesn't give out. He doesn't nibble. He doesn't give guys free passes.
He stays to his game plan. They have a game plan, and he sticks with it.
And that's exactly it. And I love that. I really love that. And so, I'm excited about this game tonight. How do you see it playing out?
I think that actually Cleveland should be able to close them down tonight. I think that's over. I think that I'm pretty sure. I would say 90% sure that the Cubs won't be able to come back on them, because the Indians are a solid team.
And they are tough at home.
And they're tough at home.
I mean, tough. They come back at home. Even if you jump out on them, they come back at home.
They come back on the road.
They come back on the road. I mean, they gave the other night, they gave Chapman a real run for his,
And you had to bring him in for 3 innings.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot.
That is a long time in relief.
For your closer.
And this is how the game changes in the postseason. Because in the postseason, the regular season, you would never see that.
Right.
Because nobody feels like one game is that important. In the postseason, folks, it's win or go home. And the reason these guys are on this level is because they don't want to go home. The guys that want to go home find ways to throw the game. They find ways to blow games, really.
Yeah.
And they get to go hang out on their fancy yachts and this, that, and the other and go do their nice vacations. But I tell you, that sweet taste of victory in your mouth is something that you just can't substitute. And that boys want it.
They want it.
They want it. I know you want it. Man.
Because you're a good team.
Yeah. Man. Staying in the baseball space.
Oh, you like that space.
I like the baseball space. Leather, wood.
Stick and ball.
Stick and ball, as they say. So, had that bad news come out of Miami now with Jose Fernandez came out to be high and drunk, and while he was on that stuff while he was and the thing that I think still isn't clear is whether or not he was driving the boat. But
doesn't matter really.
It seems as though he played a part in his own tragedy. He had cocaine in his system, and he had alcohol in his system. Just really unfortunate for a couple reasons. Now, just speak on it. I'll give you my take right after.
No, I just feel like the kid should, they put him in a situation where he had too much exposure to the finer things in life, and somebody should have corralled him, or he should have had a chaperone in a sense, because those guys, they give him big contracts, big money. They have all kind of exposure to everything, and they need someone there with these younger guys to say, hey, listen, it's time to go to bed. It's time to get up. All these things, you just can't let them go like that.
And I don't feel that way at all. I actually feel like as an adult, this is your responsibility. And whether or not you want to have that person around you, a friend, a brother, or if you want to request it for something from the team, I think that I really believe that there's just I don't see how you can police a guy who from the fruits of his success, basically, is what you're saying. And I don't
He's
believe
so
in
young.
that.
He's so young.
So what? That's a lot of young guys get big money, and you know what? They have these symposiums, just like we had at the end of Ballers on the season finale. You have symposiums where you have guys in the league come and they speak to the young guys, and they say, "Hey, don't blow your money. Don't have raw sex. Don't drink and drive. Don't do this. Don't give your friends all your money." You know, they tell them this. But at the end of the day, the responsibility is on them. Just because Jose Fernandez, I mean, he was out there with 2 other dudes, man. It wasn't just him. So there was other guys out there with bad intentions. Well, I won't say bad intentions, with little irresponsibility as well. The other thing that I want to bring up that bothers me is, realistically, in any given time, a good 30 to 40% of the population in Miami is going to test positive for cocaine anyways, because that's the kind of place that it is. And the reason I bring that up is because every time that I've seen this reported, it tarnishes the image of Jose Fernandez as what he was, which is a real, success story of the American dream of the highest caliber, in my opinion.
I don't think that anybody should gauge his persona or him as a person just because he has a fault, because we all have faults.
That's what it is. And this fault ended up
costing him his life,
which is just a hard pill to swallow.
You can't get it back.
No. And the only positive, in my opinion, about this information coming out, because I feel like this is information that should stay in-house for the most part. The only positive I can see from this is that other guys can look at this in the league, out of the league. I don't care if you work, a 9 to 5 and you take a little toot from time to time to just keep your energy up. You can look at this stuff and see how high the stakes are, because the stakes are high in life.
Right. And equating drugs and drink to a good time,
it's not cool.
It's not cool.
And it's not equal. You can have a good time
without drugs and drink.
Yeah. And with moderation.
Yes.
I mean, I've been to that place. I went to that place when they opened, where he pulled up on his boat, before they went out. Mm-hmm. And it's the coolest thing going. You pull up on your boat on the river. They have a place for you to dock. You can order right there, or you can come on to the into the restaurant. You eat, you hang out, you get back on your boat, and you go home. This is just a lifestyle situation in Miami. Now, being out there in the dark with Now,
the thing that I'm confused about is that it was a speedboat, correct?
It was a speedboat,
but they use it for fishing pretty much.
Yeah, it wasn't. I wouldn't call it a speedboat. It was. I wonder what that. I'm not aficionado.
No, I know that they called it a speedboat, though.
Yeah, but it's not. But
it didn't look like one.
It's not a speedboat like you see on Miami Vice.
Right.
It's not that kind of speedboat that you're thinking of. But it's also not a yacht or a cruiser. I don't think you would want to spend the night on the boat like you would on a yacht.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of thing probably wouldn't happen, because you're never going to be going that fast, and the yacht is much bigger. This is literally a boat. You go out with your buddies. You can fish, but it's also a good means of transportation, a way to get around. Nobody's out there in the middle of the night, so I understand cutting it loose and getting some speed. But when you're inebriated, those kind of things can you can lose your
that altered state.
Yeah, you can lose your way, literally. And I think that's what happened, because those guys know those channels and the keys and everything down there. And I think they literally, perhaps what the evidence is pointing to is that because of their state of consciousness, perhaps either they fell asleep, or maybe even, I mean, you're on cocaine, you probably don't fall asleep, but perhaps they just didn't pay attention and they ran into that big set of rocks that just,
destroyed that boat, that yacht, speedboat, or whatever it is.
Destroyed all 3 of those men's lives.
Yeah, and their families.
And several, I was about to say, in several lives subsequently. Really heavy, man. And I mean, think about that. If that's you go out, you're 24 years old, you go out there, you have a good time, and you get high, whatever it is that you decide to do, you die, and then all this stuff, your mom, your grandma,
they have to hear
your dad, all these people have to hear about this stuff. This is the world we live in now with the 24-hour news cycle. You see it happening in the political race.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate, because I'm a person who believes that everything doesn't need to be
out.
Yeah, I don't think everything needs to be publicized.
I don't think you can keep that
all the
in-house,
time.
though, because that was, the public. The public has a right to know that. The public can get that information from the coroner's office.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think that it's something that they can really keep in-house. But the biggest way to stay away from that is not to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You got the world in the palm of your hand in that scenario.
But let's not tarnish his name like
I agree.
He's a bad person, because the dude didn't do anything He did something to himself.
He did.
And it was selfish in a sense, but it doesn't make him a bad person.
Doesn't make him a bad person. He certainly didn't want that. That was not his intention.
Right, and everybody who's on drugs or drinking or whatever out there doesn't mean that they're bad people. They might have a crutch or a vice, or
they have a vice. They have a flaw, just like everybody does.
Like everybody else does. Some people like women, some people like drugs, some people like whatever.
It's like Pete Rose said. Pete Rose said he chose the wrong vice.
Yeah,
he said, maybe I should have beat on my wife, and I'd be in the Hall of Fame, and I'd still be involved with baseball, as opposed to the other way around. As opposed to gambling on baseball. Now, how do you think about that analysis? How do you feel about that analysis from A-Rod, Frank Thomas, Pete Rose that comes before and after the games?
I like it. I mean, because they're giving you the insight, and A-Rod is taking it serious, and I don't know why people are sort of surprised that he's taking it so serious, because he takes the game serious. He was willing to stay on the juice, even when you caught it.
That's how seriously A-Rod takes the game.
He takes the game serious.
And you know what? So, and in that vein of him taking the game seriously and competition seriously, I actually think that he has a much better chance to be a great analyst than he did a player. Because although A-Rod his numbers are bonkers.
Yeah.
They're tainted. And he's not going to have a tainted.
But tainted to some people. A lot of people still like him. A lot of people really don't.
Well, I don't think you need to dislike him.
No, look past his numbers, because I've spoke with a few people who feel just like with Barry Bonds. They feel like his numbers are still, his numbers. And it goes back to the thing about the writers. The writers, I really want to take that out of the writers' hands. Because
you mean the Hall of Fame vote?
The Hall of Fame vote.
Who do you think should vote on the Hall of Fame?
Past players.
Only.
Coaches too?
Coaches.
Past players and coaches.
What about executives?
Past players and coaches
should vote the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. That's it. I mean, the rest of those guys, they haven't laced them up. How are you going to talk about Pete Rose or Barry Bonds or anybody else hitting a fastball that's 100 miles an hour when you're sitting up in the stands watching it?
Yeah, and it's real easy. It's a lot easier to do this podcast than it is to go up there and hit Aroldis Chapman
and hit that cheese.
Even if Aroldis Chapman is nibbling,
I might talk slick, but that doesn't mean I can get in there and just start raking.
Yeah, it also doesn't mean that I don't respect what these guys are doing.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. Because I talk to a lot of major leaguers who feel that way about Bonds. Not as much about A-Rod, but definitely about Barry Bonds. A lot of guys, you speak to pitchers and a lot of different guys, they will tell you that Barry Bonds is the best hitter they've ever faced and they've ever even seen.
Right.
Well, yeah, very interesting. One of the best things I've ever seen is the deal at the 5-4 Club.
Wow, it's the best you've ever seen?
One of them.
Wow.
One of them. You're talking about having a professionally curated wardrobe hand-delivered to your door every single month for $65 a month.
Can't beat that.
You can't beat that. You get a box of clothes that's worth more than $200. I mean, go to 54club.com, put in promo code Omar, and reap the fruits of my labor. This will be a success for you. It'll be a smash for your family. You'll enjoy how you look. It'll make you more confident, and you'll feel like twice a man. 54 Club. Come join the party. Moving on, it's a very interesting week in the N to the F to the L, the No Fun League in the house.
They like to keep it no fun.
Wow, they're keeping it stiff.
Why not?
What is going on?
It's a corporate game now.
It is a corporate game, unless you are a 6'5", 275-pound quarterback named Cam Newton. Let's hear what Cam had to say about the No Fun League.
Are you surprised you didn't get a call on that one where they hit you below?
I'm speechless, but next question.
To belabor the point, Cam, but last year you may not have been old enough to get one of those calls. I mean, are you wondering when you're going to start getting some of these late hit calls?
No, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know. It's not fun. It's not fun. It's really taking the fun out of the game for me, honestly. It really is, because at times I don't even feel safe, right? And enough is enough. You know, I plan on talking to Commissioner Goodell about this, but it's not fun. And I don't know what I have to do. I mean, I showed a lot of frustration today, and I apologize to the referee, who I was talking to, but I don't think it's a person that can go through what I go through and still keep their head. You know what I'm saying? And hits to the head, that's one thing, but when you're not protected in the pocket, that's another thing. And the story of my life ever since I came in is just, well, we missed that one. I'm sorry. I try to get it. That's bullcrap. That's bull crap. As players in this league, we do something stupid, we get fined. If we do something derogatory to somebody else, we get fined. And I just can't keep accepting, oh, we missed that one, or I apologize for doing that, or I didn't see it. That's horse crap. That's horse crap. And coming from a person who has been fined before, coming from a person that everybody's expecting a lot from, and I'm still growing. But yet, when you constantly see the hits, when you constantly see flags being picked up, when you're constantly seeing flags not being thrown, and to see other quarterbacks getting it, lesser hits, lesser physical hits, then it's taking the fun for me out. I'm just being honest with that.
Look around the league and feel like it's everywhere else as well, or do you feel like it's
no? For me, it's and I have this conversation openly because I've talked to numerous people about it, and when I see other guys get calls. They don't have to be no MVP. They don't have to be this, that, and the third of being this type of tier of a player. I look at how they get hit. And for every hit that they get that's called, I can match a hit in my career that I didn't get called.
Cam Newton is speaking the truth.
Right.
And we've been, I feel like he must listen to the OZone. Shout out to Big Cam for tuning into the OZone. And that's probably who he was talking to, is an OZone listener, ladies and gentlemen. And it's pretty incredible, Cam Newton, because
it's a bias, and on more levels than one.
Speak on it.
Well, no, you have the size issue. You have the
he gets penalized for being bigger than the defense.
I think it's a race issue.
I think as well. Let's start with the first one. It's definitely a size issue. He's bigger than a lot of the guys who were trying to tackle him. They've realized that because over the past few years, especially last year, they realize that they cannot hold him.
Right.
And they can't stop him, so they've resorted to dirty tactics.
And the league's letting them get away with it, so, they feel like, why should we stop?
And that is the nature of football, really. And I'm just happy that Cam decided to come out and say it.
Yeah,
and
because
that
he's
said
been
it
PC
openly.
for a little while.
He has been, and this is a part of his growth that he's talking about. And, we talked about it forever. We talked about it last year and this year. Hey, man, if anybody, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, if they got helmet to helmet after the whistle every single week, guys might get the electric chair. Are you kidding me?
The truth. He's gotten 0 calls.
He gets no love.
0.
And he's an MVP type player.
Well, he won't be.
No, and I mean that you wonder if that's the goal. And this is why I really love him speaking out. Especially with the Colin Kaepernick debate going on, so many people feel like athletes should just shut up and play and cash their check.
Well, not only that, though, you feel like you buy a ticket even though the numbers, the price for the ticket's through the roof. You still don't have a right to go out there and abuse people.
You don't own these guys.
Yeah.
You don't own them. These guys are not slaves.
It's not a plantation.
These guys speak on it, brother. Birth of a nation. Shout out to Nate Parker.
That's right.
But but the thing is that everybody wants these guys to be seen and not heard, which is ridiculous. I mean, Cam has influence. He has influence over his community, and he has influence in the world. And that influence has been granted by the success of his play, which has also been admired by millions of people, which has given him that influence. And I think, for one, if he doesn't flex it for his own personal well-being, meaning just self-survival, what is he going to –
point.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about – you keep taking dome shots like they're giving him after the play.
He won't even be able to speak in a couple of years.
Exactly. And is that what everybody wants?
Right. He'll be like a punch-drunk fighter.
And then you roll him around all day. Oh, man, that dude used to be unstoppable.
Right.
I wonder what happened to Cam Newton.
He's over there in the corner.
Drooling.
You can't even speak.
Yeah. We got a first-time caller who wants to call in and speak about some NFL.
Who do you got?
We got Cowboy Kev on the line.
Whoa.
Cowboy Kev, how you feel?
Yes, sir.
Feeling good, fellas. It's good to hear from you, Familiar.
Yeah, come on now.
Let's do it.
I mean, we forgot to talk about Juris Familia. That info came out. Man, so you're part of that Cowboy Nation. We're just starting our NFL segment, and we just got done playing a clip of Cam Newton speaking on how ridiculous it is that he takes helmet-to-helmet hits and late hits nonstop with seemingly just no consequence for any of the defenders. First of all, let's get your take on that. How do you feel about the way that the league, the no-fun league, treats Cam?
I kind of recognize it the first game of the season when they played Denver. I thought Denver was really teeing off on him, and I couldn't understand why he wasn't getting any calls. I don't know what it is. I think he's getting a little bit of the Shaq treatment because of his size. You know, you always want to say he should be able to take it, but he is a quarterback, and under his quarterback standards, if that was Brady, Rodgers, any of them, there would have been so many flags. You might have had a couple guys.
They would have had to call out the color guard.
right. So, it is tackle football in the National Football League, and he signed up for it. But I understand, especially the one play where they went at his knees. I was like, come on, man. Now,
yeah, it broke his back.
It did. That was too far.
Yeah.
And that was the homie. That was Calais Campbell.
That was Calais.
Yeah, it seemed like that really rubbed him the wrong way. I just really admire the fact that he's speaking out on it publicly so that it can be on record, not just for people like us who are having these conversations in real life, but that he can have the conversation in the public, with the league, with the media. And now I'm very interested to see what Roger Goodell actually does about it.
Well, Goodell said he's going to speak on it now. He's going to take a look into it. This is going on for years.
Yeah, because really, right. Goodell is there to do the bidding of the owners. He's a commissioner appointed to do the bidding of the owners. And I don't see where it's in the owner's interest for a guy like Cam Newton, who's the guy that sells the tickets and sells the jerseys, to be busted up after a play. I don't even see, I don't know how that would benefit the league. But most importantly, we got Cowboy Kev on the line because he wants to talk about them Cowboys. Yeah, what's going on down there in Texas, boy? What's happening?
Hey, it's some good times right now in Dallas and Cowboy Nation. We deep around the country, but
around the world,
we ate good. We ate real good this weekend. We fried up some Eagles, put a little paprika on it. Ain't nothing like a good deep fried eagle when you put a little paprika on it.
Ooh, wee.
Hey,
why you do that to Carson Wentz and them boys?
Listen, it's a division game. It's always a good competitive game, but I really enjoyed the game just from a sports fan, standpoint. Both sides, played well. You had two rookie quarterbacks that everybody's been waiting to see, been talking about the build up. Obviously Dak struggled for most of three and a half, halfway through the fourth quarter. I think he really started to settle in, but I don't think he really understood how, and I know Romo, who's been getting the heat for a long time, tried to tell him, the amount of blitzes that was going to be coming his way. But, sometimes you can't really understand until you in the heat of the moment yourself and see it for yourself. But that
was a learning curve.
Kid, he adjusted well, and to go into overtime after the last 2 minutes, really couldn't absolutely do nothing, even from the shotgun. He took 2 steps and was getting drilled. So to go into overtime and, 12 plays or whatever, basically 80 yards, that was big.
It was.
It was.
Jerry Jones lost it.
And Jerry Jones is slowly but surely falling in love with Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
I feel like they're giving him I feel like they're giving Tony Romo that Andrew Jones from the Dodgers a few years ago and give him that phantom injury because he keeps saying straight away, oh, no, he's just not ready, okay? He's not ready, so that's a bridge we'll cross when we get there. But I do believe that this is a product of the old boy network actually being broken up. And you're watching it break up right in front of our eyes with a lot of melanin on the field and not just on the offensive line. Because now the boys that are in the backfield between Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott, wow. You guys could be good for a really long time if you stay healthy, Cowboy Kev.
That's if we stay healthy. That's the thing. And we already got Claiborne. I think he may be out for the year now, and Church is out for 4 to 6 weeks. So, the defense is already going to be limited. But to, just speak on Romo, I don't think he's faking it. I got a L4 and L5 that reminds me every day that, one, the back is no joke.
No. I don't think he's faking it. But I remember before Prescott was playing so well, They were talking about Romo being back, the rushing Romo back. Now there doesn't seem to be such a rush to get Romo back on the field is all I'm saying.
Yeah, me personally, I felt like after this game, Jerry Jones was like, okay,
there's nothing I can do.
This is my man.
This is my man.
What can you do?
Absolutely. I mean, he had his reservations because when you're paying, you guaranteed to give somebody $48 million in the back of your mind, like I need to get some return on my investment. But the young kid just keeps
performing
every week. He's showing up and performing, and he's like, well, maybe I just have the best backup in the NFL right now. We'll let him heal all the way up. So if something were to happen to Dak, you're in great position to bring somebody in who can really you don't miss a beat. But the man with the Dak and Zeke combo, and then now you add Dez coming back. And him and Dez really couldn't hook up. This Dez's first game back, so their timing is off. But
sounds like a hot hip hop group. Dak, Zeke, and Dez. I believe that. Actually, I believe that next week is the kind of game where the team can really grow because you guys are playing Cleveland next week. Everybody knows Cleveland's a bunch of clowns, and you go except for
you come in with the right mindset,
except for baseball and basketball.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the Browns aren't on point, and I think it's a game where Prescott and Zeke and Dez Bryant can all get on the same page because after next week, the Cowboys schedule is real, and you guys are going to have to come to play because you're going to be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, which is a hard place to win, and they're talking about Roethlisberger coming back this week. And when Ben Roethlisberger laces him up, he's ready to play every time. I don't care what anybody says.
Chunk him, as they say.
He's ready to chunk that thing. And after that, you got the Baltimore Ravens. And after that, you got the Washington Redskins. And after that, you got the Minnesota Vikings.
I think the X factor in all of that with the Cowboys is Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, it's a tough month, but it's what you sign up for. And I think the one thing that I've really been impressed with, because I think most importantly is time of possession is what is important for us. The longer the offense can stay on the field, it keeps the defense off the field. But man, shout out to Marinelli, but he's like, his middle name, it has to be Jesus, because he
pulled out the miracles.
He fed the multitude with 2 fish and 5 loaves. I don't know how he got the defense to play their way.
He's bringing life, and he's bringing it more abundantly.
Exactly. So
now listen to this.
For him to be playing that way, and the offense doing what they're doing, Zeke is, he is going to test Dickerson's record this year. For sure.
Wow. Tell me this. The last parting note from Cowboy Kev about the Cowboys. December 1st, you guys play the Minnesota Vikings. You guys could potentially be 11-1 in that stretch if you can win these next few games. What do you think they're going to do between now and December 1st? You got 5 games. I would, as a fan, me personally, I think with those teams, you guys would do well to go 3-2. What are you expecting out of the Cowboys?
That's a fair assessment. I would be happy with 3-2. In any of those, besides this Cleveland game this week,
right.
There are going to be some tough games, and some of them may come down to the last couple minutes and something going right here or there. Just like the Philly game on Sunday, had that last interception, that we thought was an interception initially, that could have easily been a loss. That we're sitting here and then we're not having our siesta.
Yeah, you didn't get to eat that fried bird. Well, I tell you, Cowboy Kev, first time calling, long time listener. I really appreciate you coming in. We appreciate and welcome your knowledge about
great insight.
Them boys. And we can tell you're a real true sports fan. We look forward to having you on the show soon.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the invitation, and I hope to be back in the den, in the living room again soon.
All right, now. Whatever you do in these next 5 weeks, don't allow a tie. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And I heard the Philly
What
Birds
is that?
high in
When is-
cholesterol.
What? And we actually had 2 of them in like the last 3 weeks? It's like,
No,
It's an ugly look.
it's an ugly look. We're about to get into it
that
now.
has to be changed.
Gotta
That
be
has to
changed.
If you got to play till midnight,
Get it done,
If
right?
you got to play till after the
Get it
street
done.
lights come on, get it done. I'm really tired of these ties. It's
Somebody
totally.
tap out one of the two.
Hey, come on. All right, Cowboy Kev, we'll check in with you soon.
Like
All right.
Great insight from Cowboy
it
Kev.
was. His cowboy game is down.
His Cowboy game is through the roof. Man, had him
Crazy.
some fried bird, a little
Yeah,
paprika,
yeah.
sprinkled him up.
Better watch out though. Take aspirin with that.
Man, you
that
never
Philly
know.
Eagle.
Man, get them tingly calves. You know what I mean?
We'll need that.
But I wanted to speak on that the tie situation.
It's ugly.
The Redskins had a tie again. Come on, NFL. Ties are un-American. Nobody in America wants sports that tie.
Now, does that do to the gamblers?
It's a push. It's this. The only way you can do it is if you go over under, or if you had the points, then it doesn't work. But the issue, as well as what it does to the gamblers, is what does it do to the teams afterwards? You keep playing and playing and playing with no resolution. It's like having an extra innings game that never gets resolved. You have the
need
emotional
resolution.
high and low, and you never get any closure on the game to either say, this is what we need to work on, this is what we did well, this guy's clutch, this guy's not. Now you're sitting in a situation, look at what happened to the Cardinals. The Cardinals went out there, even with late hits and everything on Cam, and pretty much got blew out. The game ended up being 30-20, but everybody who watched the game knows that game was a blowout.
It's a blowout.
It was a blowout. Cam went out there and blew them out. And they seemed like they had a little ring rust from the situation that was the week before with the Seahawks, playing for, 18 quarters and not going with those college rules. And then the Seahawks go down there to New Orleans and they lose to them.
That's how it is. That hangover. It's real.
Football is hard enough to play for 4 quarters. You play 1 game a week, you have time to rest, and then you do light practices. There's nothing that says we should continue to play and play and play and play. This is the NFL trying to have their cake and eat it too, milk for more television time and more ratings and more sponsorships, and it's actually working against them, and ratings are going down.
At the expense of the players.
Yes, and the fans at this point.
Yeah. Nobody wants to tie.
Nobody wants a tie. Maybe if you're used to Premier League soccer or something and you play where you get points as well as your win-losses or something. But in America, nobody's down with a tie. If the election pops off on November 8th and they say, ladies and gentlemen, it's a tie.
They're both going to serve.
Exactly.
Like, not me.
No, this is not how we are in this country. It just doesn't work. Roger Goodell, listen up, man. You got to fix this. This isn't right. Not a good situation whatsoever. I'm really.
I need to know who the loser is.
I need to know who the winner is, and I need to know who the
my
loser
belt.
is. Give me my belt, in the words of Gennady Golovkin. I need to know. I can't even speak on it enough. It really bothers me, the tie situation. But who did not get in the tie this weekend?
Don't say it.
Just win, baby.
Don't say it.
The Raiders.
Ernie over there cheesing.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for the Raider Nation talk. Low key, we might have the coldest quarterback in the league on the back end, because this dude
He put
has
a 513.
ice water in his veins.
Antifreeze.
Antifreeze. You can't get this guy rattled. 513 yards?
Are you crazy?
Man, because the defense can't stop getting penalized.
24 penalties?
Come on, man. You set the
far.
record. This is too far, Raiders. The schedule's been set up so that you can work out the kinks. The only upside is I've seen Jack Del Rio speak on the fact that, hey, look, this is too far. We gotta get our defense together.
It's terrible when Jack Del Rio has to come, your head coach has to come out and say, this is too far.
Come on, man. I mean, I think they
In
won
big
5 games on the road, which is pretty awesome.
That is awesome, but in big games, you want to make more than 5 penalties in a game, it's going to hurt you. 24? Are you kidding?
Yeah, seriously.
In the playoffs? It won't
Playoffs?
work. Are you kidding?
Yeah, seriously. It's too far. It's not going to work. It's not going to work out. I don't know. I'm happy that we won. I'm happy that Amari Cooper got involved, because
he's been involved the past 3 weeks.
He has been involved, but like you said before, they were almost using him as a decoy, and Crab was getting off. Now you got them both pumping, and then I think they're going to go in there. They're going playing in Oakland, playing Denver. That's going to be a good game.
Well, I'm saying that your boy Crab is going to have a big game this week, and they're going to shut down Amari.
Think so?
That's how they play it. When I look at the statistics, Crab has big games against the tight defenses.
Yeah,
and
the other thing is that Denver likes to play dirty and hit late, and so do the Raiders.
Yeah, but Denver's on purpose, and the Raiders do it by accident.
Yeah, but I think the Raiders can get down dirty Al Davis style and get in the dirt and grime it out pirate style, arr, matey, and really let them have it.
Give me my penalties.
Give me my eye patch, matey,
and my belt.
Yeah, but the Raiders are set up for a good situation, man. They got the Broncos, which is going to be a tough game. Then they got the Texans, who I think they should beat.
Texans are tough.
Texans are tough, but I think the Raiders should beat the Texans. They're playing at home. The next 4 games are at home. Matter of fact, we got to head up to Oakland and bring our bulletproof vest and make sure that we don't get stabbed, because we'll be wearing the right attire and enjoy the nation. But yeah, this is the only upside to the sloppy play, in my opinion, is that the Raiders have been winning in dramatic fashion.
Right.
And they're
making gutsy calls.
They are making it. It all started that game again, the game that they got the Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said, hey,
gutsy
man, maybe we need to stick to this formula. I need to go.
Jack Del Rio isn't scared. He's letting his nuts drag, folks.
All over everybody's helmet.
All over the NFL. All over everybody's shoulder pads.
Get that off of me.
Whose voice is that? That's the softest NFL guy ever.
That's what happened when you get the nuts dragged on you.
Raiders style. No, I'm very impressed with the Raiders. I wish they would have, I wish it would have been a cleaner game, because there's only so many of those you can pull out of the hat in any sport. And it's just,
And unfortunately, it's going to come back to bite them at the end of the season.
Now, why do you think that the Vikings have fallen from grace so heavily?
It eventually catches up with everybody. I mean,
when you don't have your number one personnel.
You don't have your number one personnel, and they don't really have, like, Stephon Diggs is a good receiver, but he's not a great receiver. He's more of a speedster, and you need to have a complementary batch of receivers,
Right.
And I don't think offensively they're not there. I feel like they need to have a more dominant running back so that they can have a little bit more ball control.
Okay.
But when they get into a game like when your boy ran over him last night, Jordan Howard, for 200, he had 202 total yards.
I mean, wow.
I mean, it's hard to come back. They're not built to come back like that. They're built to grime it out, to be physical and everything else. So if you can get them down early, I think you can beat them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, the Bears definitely weren't – nobody thought the Bears were going to do that because, I mean, even though the Vikings lost last week, everybody thought, maybe it's a one-off. And then they came back and got smacked around by the Bears. Nobody wants to get smacked around by Jay Cutler.
No.
That's just like, I don't know. Just get me out of the league if I got to lose to Jay Cutler. I don't even know if he could beat me in the street. It's crazy. But I tell you what you can't beat.
What?
Are the clean snacks from Melissa's Produce. Wow. Go to melissas.com. My favorite is the coconut clean snacks with chia seed and flax seed. This stuff cleans you out. It gives you a bunch of energy. Completely natural. No artificial ingredients. Go over to melissas.com. Pick up the clean snacks. One of the best things you'll ever put in your mouth. I promise you. Trust me. It's huge. They're going to fix it. They'll fix your appetite. Trust me on this. Whew. What a week. NBA started up.
Yeah, you have a couple of cats going ballistic.
I mean, going ham, as the boys say.
Yeah, they got turned.
They got turned. I mean, crazy individual performances from Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis.
Led to wins.
And they led to wins, more importantly.
Yeah. I mean, Russell Westbrook, that's a triple-double waiting to happen.
Between Dame Lillard, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis, who do you build around?
I like Damian Lillard over all of them because he's a team guy.
I got to go with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is hard to beat because that size.
He's a big guy.
He's a big guy, but
he's a team guy.
But
he just doesn't have a team.
But he gets
That's because he doesn't have a team.
I don't know. They have Buddy Hield now, so that might be the big difference maker. And then they do have a team though. They have Tyreek Evans.
Tyreek ain't been the same since he left Sacramento.
Tyreek though, he's hurt. Everybody, you have.
So then, how is he the team?
The combination of these players, even when they're together, don't win.
Because they don't all play together, and you just proved my point, which is that he doesn't have a team around him. That's what I'm saying.
And that I think that they need more. They probably need a better coach. You have talent.
I don't know, man.
Drew Holiday's going through something right now. You know,
It seems like
it's with his wife. You know, she has a brain, I think, tumor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so that's why he's not playing. And so,
oh man,
and they're waiting to see the outcome of that.
Man.
Yeah, so he hasn't been playing.
L.A. All-Star right there.
Right.
Wow. Oh man, I hate to hear that.
So they're not there yet.
Right. Yeah, they say he's coming. They're hoping he can return
in December.
In mid to late November would be the best case scenario. Wow. Prayers out to Drew Holiday's wife, Lauren. That's really unfortunate. I hate to hear that. You never want to hear that. Man, this life is so fragile.
Right.
It's unbelievable. You know, you can have it all, and you recognize it is. It's constantly fleeting. And even if your life is on fleek, it's fleeting. It's craziness. But you got some teams in the NBA, man, that seem like they're making some noise. I really like the way that even though Michael Carter-Williams just got hurt, I really like the way that the Bulls look.
They look great. I think that Dwayne Wade's numbers are going to come down, though, as they have already started to do.
Yeah.
You know, he's up in age a little bit as far as athletes, but they look good. If they can, you know, continue to build, bring in some of these young kids like that Denzel Valentine kid, incorporate them into the rotation, I think they're going to make some noise.
Nobody looks better than the Cavs, not even the Spurs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Cavs look like Game 7 just ended, and they just are picking up right where they left off. Looks like Dunleavy fits in well with them.
Right, and they haven't done anything really to change what they had in the first.
Why would they? Yeah. They're the champs.
Well, look at Golden State. They did.
Yeah, and I think they're paying the price. I mean, it's only a few games into the season, but me personally, I'm not a crazy big fan of the super team. It's just not my...
Not even just a super team. When you have a weakness, you work on that weakness. You don't go and work on your strength still. That's your strength, you know. You go get more offense. You don't need more offense. You need some defense. You gutted your team out.
To get offense.
To get more offense. You're the best offense in basketball.
Yeah. Ever.
Yeah. And you're going to get more shooters. Come on, man. It's like the Angels going to get more outfielders. Don't do it.
They love that.
Don't do it.
That's the Angels' favorite move. Wow. So who do you like early in the NBA? How do you feel?
It's too early. It's too early to predict anything because basketball, these guys get hurt so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard game. That hard wood is hard wood. It's hard on your body.
Literally. So you would have to go with the Cavs. Even though Draymond wants to annihilate the Cavs, we still have to go with
How about that?
Yeah, he's getting aggressive out there.
I mean, he's been aggressive with hitting people in the nuts. Still, he won't give it up.
This is M.O.
Doomed to be a killer since he came out the nutsack.
Since he kicked you in the nutsack.
What is going on? Why do you think Draymond, what is wrong with him?
It's habitual. Calm down, dude. I mean, I don't understand it. I didn't understand it last year.
I didn't understand it last year.
And he's making excuses for it. Do not do that. Don't kick a man in his groin parts.
Don't even do that in his man parts, ever. What about this situation where you're looking at FanDuel and DraftKings merger?
I don't know how they're going to work that out because they both have certain things that are good about the sites. I think that DraftKings is more flash and dash more so than FanDuel. I like DraftKings a lot, but FanDuel is like the first one, so you really are sort of...
I think with the way that legislation is going right now, it seems as though they've realized we do better to Megatron partner up and fight the battles collectively, or we'll both probably end up going out of business.
Yeah, but now what you're doing is opening up the door for another company to come in, though.
Which may even help them if that means that they can continue to operate their business. Sure. When you're going state to state, when a giant state like New York says, hey, you're out, that's it. That's a serious problem.
They got back in, though, right? New York.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, anytime that sort of thing happens, these are the kind of problems that you run into.
I just think it's a bunch of old fogies who can't handle the new technology that, they still want you to go down there and smoke a cigar in the room and place your bets.
They want that.
Yeah. I think they have more control that way, but this way everybody can be involved. And I'm not like completely against gambling, so I can't really speak against DraftKings or FanDuel. But I feel like it's, with a man, the competitive nature of it all is what it's about.
Yeah. And as athletes, the guys in the league are competitive, and the guys who watch them usually at some point were athletes, and they're competitive.
Right. And I want to, challenge you to a fan deal.
Say, this is for you!
FanDuel! Cleveland!
Wow. So what do you got in the game tonight? Final score.
I'm looking at it being as tight as the bread on the meat of your sandwich, and I think I'm going to go with a 2-1-3-2 package.
3-2 package.
I'm going to be in that space.
I'm going with a 5-2. 5-2
wow,
Cleveland.
opening it up, huh?
Yeah, I think that I really believe that Cleveland, when they get back home, I think that the Cubs may even score early, but then when it starts to get late, I don't know if nobody knows how Chapman's going to respond after that and only having one day off.
Right.
They're going to have to go back to Chapman because Cleveland has shown that they can score off of everybody else in the bullpen.
Right.
They've hit Travis Wood. They hit Edwards.
Edwards seems like the most difficult one to hit out of all of them.
More, except for Chapman.
Yeah.
Because they seem like they have no problems with hitting Rondon. They seem like they're all over Rondon.
Yeah, Rondon's been like that for a few years now.
Well, but he's a good setup man. But I think the Cubs are a great team to play with the lead. Yeah. I really believe that, and I think that
you can see them get demoralized anytime a team gets out in front of them. They don't look like they carry the same swagger.
I don't know if they believe, and it's going to be interesting to see. I think Ben Zobrist is going to be the big difference tonight, whether or not he can execute, because Ben Zobrist is the reason you pick up a guy like Ben Zobrist is because he has this experience. He was in the World Series last year and won the thing. He can play all over the field. He's a guy, when you stick him in that 4 hole, gets hits. He may not hit a bomb. He might hit a bomb, but he gets hits. He gets extra base hits. He can lay down the bunt in a key situation.
Plays the game the right way.
He plays the game the right way, as they tell you. Folks, thanks for joining us here on the Ozone. It's been a spirited edition. Feel free to call in, guys. We'll take your calls. We'll throw you up on there. Our number is 424-254-9663. Again, that's 424-254-ZONE. If you have a take, disagree, or agree with us, go ahead, call in. You never know. You could become a member of our cast of characters here on the Ozone. Going to leave you with a thought from Lao Tzu. Watch your thoughts. They become words. Watch your words. They become actions. Watch your actions. They become habits. Watch your habits. They become character. And watch your character, because it becomes your destiny. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Ozone.
Peace.